Hey there, how's your evening going? Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, I'm genuinely glad you found your way here tonight. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most profound questions humans have ever dared to ask. Will everything in the universe eventually end in cold, dark silence? Or could there be something more? Could everything begin again? We're about to embark on a journey that will take us to the very edge of time itself, to a moment so distant it makes the age of dinosaurs seem like yesterday. But before that, I'd love to know where you're listening from tonight. Drop your location in the comments below. Are you watching the stars emerge in your corner of the world? Perhaps it's morning where you are, with sunlight streaming through your window. There's something beautifully fitting about contemplating the ultimate fate of everything while we're all scattered across different time zones, each of us experiencing this moment at our own place. Also, the visuals are here for you, but feel free to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let your imagination drift across billions of years. I would love and encourage you to watch the video till the end to help you learn many new things, but there is absolutely no problem if you doze off midway through the video. A gentle request: if you find comfort in these explorations of the cosmos, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps the algorithm push these videos that I create daily over here to more curious minds like yours, who would love to discover these peaceful journeys through space and time. That's it. Let's dive right in. Imagine yourself standing in your backyard on a clear night, gazing up at the Milky Way, stretched across the darkness like a river of light. Those stars you're seeing, those distant suns burning with nuclear fire, they won't shine forever. In fact, everything you can observe, from the smallest grain of sand to the largest galaxy, is slowly, inexorably marching toward what physicists call heat death. The universe is winding down like a cosmic clock, and according to our best understanding of physics, there may come a time when the last star flickers out, when the final black hole evaporates, when nothing remains but empty space filled with the faintest whisper of radiation. But here's where our story takes a fascinating turn, because the universe has surprised us before. And buried within the equations that predict this cosmic ending are hints, subtle clues that suggest the story might not be over. That in the vast darkness of a seemingly dead universe, something extraordinary might be stirring. Something that could give birth to everything all over again. Welcome to this journey through deep time, where we'll explore not just how the universe might end, but how it might begin anew. We'll trace the cosmic timeline from the vibrant present through the slow decay of stars, past the era of black holes, and into realms of time so vast they challenge human comprehension. But we'll also discover how the same forces that seem destined to end everything might hold the keys to cosmic rebirth. This isn't just about astrophysics and theoretical physics, though we'll encounter both. This is about the most fundamental question of existence itself. In a universe governed by entropy, where everything seems to move from order to chaos, from complexity to simplicity, is there any hope for renewal? Any possibility that the cosmic story could have sequels? As we begin this exploration together, I want you to know that what we're discussing isn't just abstract science. The forces we'll examine, the processes we'll uncover, they're operating right now. Every star in the sky is slowly consuming its nuclear fuel. Every galaxy is drifting away from every other galaxy as space itself expands. The universe is changing, evolving, aging before our very eyes, but so slowly that a human lifetime captures barely a single frame of this cosmic movie. We're going to speed up that movie and watch it play out across unimaginable stretches of time. We'll witness the death of the last star, the evaporation of the final black hole, and peer into a future so distant that all the time from the Big Bang to now would be just the first tick of a cosmic clock. But we'll also explore the tantalizing possibility that this isn't really an ending at all, but a transition to something new. The story begins in the present era, what cosmologists call the stelliferous age, the age of stars. Look up at the night sky and you're seeing the universe at its most vibrant, most alive. Stars are being born in stellar nurseries, massive suns are forging heavy elements in their cores, and galaxies are dancing their gravitational ballet across the cosmic web. This is the universe in its prime, young and energetic and full of possibility. But even now, in this golden age of cosmic evolution, the seeds of ending are already planted. Every time a star shines, it's converting mass into energy according to Einstein's famous equation. This process can continue for billions or even trillions of years, but it cannot continue forever. Stars, like all things in the universe, are mortal. The smallest stars, the red dwarfs that glow with barely a tenth of our sun's brightness, are the universe's misers. They burn their fuel so slowly that they could shine for tens of trillions of years. But even these cosmic lighthouses will eventually exhaust their nuclear reserves. When they do, they'll simply fade away, cooling and darkening until they become cold, dead spheres drifting through space. More massive stars meet more dramatic ends. They burn hot and bright, living fast and dying young in spectacular supernova explosions. These cosmic fireworks scatter heavy elements across space, seeding future generations of stars and planets. But with each stellar death, the universe loses a little more of its capacity for renewal. You see, the universe started with a finite supply of hydrogen, the fuel that powers stars. With every star that's born and dies, some of that hydrogen gets locked away in white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. The raw materials for making new stars become increasingly scarce. Star formation has already peaked in our universe. We're past the cosmic baby boom, entering a more sedate middle age, where new stars are born at an ever-decreasing rate. This is the first great transition in the cosmic timeline, from the vigorous stelliferous age to what's coming next, the degenerate era. In perhaps 100 trillion years, the last ordinary star will burn out. The universe will enter a phase dominated not by shining stars, but by their cold corpses. White dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes will be the only significant sources of energy, and even they will be slowly fading away. During this degenerate era, which could last for an almost incomprehensible span of time, the universe will become a strange and alien place. Galaxies will have long since merged into enormous elliptical structures, their spiral arms unwound by gravitational interactions. The expansion of space will have carried these galactic islands so far apart that an observer in one would see no others, believing themselves alone in an apparently empty cosmos. But even in this seemingly dead universe, interesting things will still be happening. White dwarf stars, though no longer burning nuclear fuel, will still glow faintly from their residual heat. Occasionally, two of these stellar remnants might collide, briefly rekindling nuclear fusion in a spectacular supernova that would illuminate the cosmic darkness like a lone candle in a vast cathedral. Black holes, those gravitational monsters that seem to devour everything, will paradoxically become the universe's primary energy sources. Through a quantum mechanical process discovered by Stephen Hawking, black holes actually evaporate, slowly radiating away their mass as particles and energy. The smaller the black hole, the faster it evaporates. Stellar mass black holes will take longer than the current age of the universe multiplied by itself trillions of times to completely disappear. But the supermassive black holes that lurk at the centers of galaxies, containing millions or billions of times the mass of our Sun, will persist for periods of time that defy human comprehension. A black hole with the mass of our Sun would take 10 to the 67th power years to evaporate completely. That's a 1 followed by 67 zeros, a number so large that if you wrote it out, the line of digits would stretch across multiple universes. During this almost eternal twilight, as black holes slowly surrender their mass to the quantum vacuum, they'll be the only significant sources of new particles and energy in the universe. Civilizations, if any still exist, might cluster around these slowly dying giants, harvesting their Hawking radiation like cosmic campfires in the infinite night. Yet even this degenerate era, vast as it is, represents only the beginning of the universe's journey into deep time. Eventually, even the most massive black holes will evaporate completely, leaving behind only a sparse soup of elementary particles drifting through an ever-expanding void. The universe will enter what physicists call the black hole era's end, transitioning into something even stranger, the dark era. In the dark era, which could last for periods of time that make the previous eons seem like brief moments, the universe will be dominated by leptons, photons, and neutrinos. The temperature of space will have dropped to nearly absolute zero. Distances between particles will be so vast that encounters between them become almost impossibly rare events. The universe will have reached a state of maximum entropy, where energy is spread so evenly and thinly that no useful work can be done. This is the heat death that 19th century physicists first predicted. The seemingly inevitable end state of a universe governed by the second law of thermodynamics. It's a cosmos where nothing interesting can happen because there are no energy gradients left to drive change. No stars can form because matter is too diffuse. No complex structures can emerge because there's no available energy to build them. It seems like the ultimate ending, a universe that has exhausted all its possibilities and settled into eternal changeless night. But here's where our story takes its most intriguing turn, because the universe might have one final surprise in store. Hidden within the quantum mechanical foundation of reality are processes so subtle and rare that they only become significant on timescales that dwarf everything we've discussed so far. In the dark era's deepest depths, when the universe has been cold and empty for periods of time measured not in years or centuries or millennia, but in numbers so large they have no names, quantum mechanics suggests that something remarkable might happen. The same quantum fluctuations that allow particles to spontaneously appear and disappear in empty space might, given enough time, produce fluctuations large enough to recreate entire regions of space-time. Not just particles or atoms, but whole chunks of universe, complete with their own physical laws and constants. These quantum resurrections would be fantastically rare, separated by intervals of time so vast that the current age of our universe would be like a single heartbeat in comparison. Some of these quantum fluctuations might even recreate exact copies of everything that has ever existed. Every star, every planet, every person who has ever lived might spontaneously reappear in the far future, not through any plan or design, but simply because quantum mechanics allows for every possible arrangement of matter and energy, no matter how improbable. This is the Poincaré recurrence theorem applied to cosmology, the idea that in an infinite amount of time, every possible state of the universe will eventually repeat. You might find yourself reading these very words again, in a cosmos indistinguishable from our own, born from quantum foam in the unimaginably distant future. But there's an even more remarkable possibility lurking in the equations of cosmology. What if the dark era isn't really an ending at all, but a transition to something entirely new? What if the universe contains mechanisms for genuine rebirth, for starting the cosmic story over again with a completely fresh beginning? Some theories suggest that the vacuum of space itself might be unstable, that what we perceive as empty space is actually a false vacuum that could suddenly transition to a lower energy state. Such a transition would release enormous amounts of energy, potentially enough to trigger a new Big Bang and create an entirely new universe with its own timeline, its own physics, its own evolutionary story. Other theories propose that our universe might be cyclic, expanding and contracting in an eternal rhythm. In these models, the current expansion would eventually reverse, pulling galaxies back together in a big crunch that would compress all matter and energy back into a singularity. But instead of ending there, this compression might trigger a bounce, a new Big Bang that would begin the cycle anew. These aren't just idle speculations. They're serious scientific theories based on our understanding of quantum mechanics, general relativity, and cosmology. While we can't know for certain which, if any, of these scenarios will actually unfold, they offer tantalizing glimpses of how the universe might cheat its own heat death and find ways to begin again. As we pause here in our journey through deep time, having traced the cosmic timeline from the stellar present through the slow decay of the degenerate era and into the seemingly empty dark era, we stand at the threshold of the most profound questions in all of science. We've seen how entropy and the second law of thermodynamics seem to doom the universe to an eventual heat death. But we've also glimpsed how quantum mechanics and the deepest principles of physics might offer escape routes from this cosmic fate. The story we're telling spans not just billions or trillions of years, but periods of time so vast they challenge the very meaning of duration itself. We're exploring possibilities that reach into realms where cause and effect become uncertain, where the familiar laws of physics encounter their own limits, where the boundary between science and philosophy begins to blur. In the next part of our journey, we'll dive deeper into these mechanisms of cosmic renewal. We'll explore how quantum tunneling might allow the universe to escape from false vacuum states, how the multiverse might provide infinite opportunities for rebirth, and how the deepest principles of physics suggest that the cosmic story might be far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. But before we venture into these exotic realms of cosmic resurrection, we need to understand something fundamental about the nature of time itself. When we speak of the universe lasting for 10 to the 100 power years, or even 10 to the 1000 power years, we're dealing with numbers that transcend human intuition. These aren't just big numbers. They represent durations so vast that they redefine what it means for something to be eternal. To put this in gentle perspective, imagine if the entire history of our universe, from the Big Bang to this very moment, were compressed into a single second. On that timescale, the heat death we've been discussing wouldn't occur for millions upon millions of years, and the quantum resurrections we're about to explore would happen after periods of time measured not in years, but in eons so lengthy that our compressed cosmic second would repeat itself more times than there are atoms in the observable universe. This is where the story becomes almost mystical in its implications. We're venturing into territories where mathematics meets philosophy, where the cold equations of physics begin to whisper possibilities that sound more like poetry than science. Yet these aren't fantasies or wishful thinking. They emerge naturally from our most rigorous theories about how reality operates at its deepest levels. Consider for a moment the quantum vacuum, that seemingly empty space that pervades the universe. Far from being truly empty, it's a seething ocean of virtual particles, constantly appearing and disappearing in accordance with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Most of these quantum fluctuations are tiny, creating particle pairs that annihilate each other before they can have any lasting effect on the world. But here's where things get interesting. The size and energy of these fluctuations follow what physicists call a probability distribution. Most are small, some are medium-sized, and a vanishingly tiny fraction are enormous. Given enough time, truly enough time, fluctuations large enough to create entire universes become not just possible, but inevitable. Think of it like this. If you flip a coin, you expect it to land heads or tails with equal probability. But occasionally, through some quirk of physics, it might land on its edge and stay there. This is incredibly unlikely, but not impossible. Now imagine flipping coins for an eternity. Eventually, you'd see every possible outcome, no matter how improbable. The quantum vacuum operates on similar principles, but instead of coin flips, we're talking about fluctuations in the fabric of space-time itself. Most of these fluctuations create nothing more than brief sparkles of energy. But given sufficient time, fluctuations large enough to spawn entire cosmic domains become mathematically certain. These spontaneous universe births wouldn't be random chaos. They would follow the same physical laws that governed our own cosmic genesis, potentially creating baby universes complete with their own big bangs, their own stellar evolution, their own possibilities for complexity and life. In a sense, the universe might be capable of reproduction, spawning countless offspring in the quantum foam of the far future. But there's an even more remarkable possibility hidden within these equations. Some theories suggest that consciousness itself might play a role in cosmic evolution. Not consciousness as we normally think of it, but as a fundamental property of information processing that could emerge even in the sparse, cold universe of the far future. Imagine civilizations so advanced that they've learned to exist as pure information, patterns of organization that persist even when the material substrate that supports them changes. These entities might survive the death of stars, the evaporation of black holes, even the heat death of the universe itself, by encoding themselves in increasingly subtle forms of quantum structure. Such beings might possess capabilities that seem godlike from our current perspective. They might be able to manipulate the quantum vacuum itself, encouraging the formation of those universe-spawning fluctuations we discussed. They could become cosmic gardeners, cultivating new realities in the quantum soil of empty space. This isn't pure speculation. It's based on serious work in quantum information theory and the physics of computation. Researchers have shown that information processing can continue even in environments of extreme entropy, albeit at progressively slower rates. What takes a computer nanoseconds today might require eons in the far future, but the computation could still, theoretically, continue. These eternal civilizations might serve as bridges between cosmic cycles, preserving knowledge and wisdom across the deaths and rebirths of entire universes. They could be the universe's memory, ensuring that each new cosmic beginning builds upon the achievements of previous cycles rather than starting from scratch. The The mathematics behind these ideas involves concepts that push the boundaries of human understanding. We're talking about Boltzmann brains, spontaneous observers that arise from quantum fluctuations in the thermal equilibrium of a dead universe. We're exploring the implications of eternal inflation, where space itself continues expanding and creating new pocket universes forever. We're grappling with the possibility that our entire observable cosmos might be just one temporary fluctuation in an infinite sea of quantum possibility. Yet perhaps the most profound implication of these theories is what they suggest about the nature of existence itself. If quantum mechanics allows for every possible arrangement of matter and energy, given sufficient time, then everything that can exist will exist, infinitely many times. Every possible universe, every possible history, every possible version of you and me will eventually emerge from the quantum foam. This leads to what philosophers call the eternal return, but with a quantum mechanical twist. Not only might identical copies of our universe spontaneously appear in the far future, but every possible variation would also manifest. Universes where history unfolded slightly differently, where the laws of physics take alternative forms, where entirely different forms of complexity and consciousness arise. In this view, the heat death we've been contemplating isn't really death at all. It's more like a cosmic sleep, a period of dormancy between the active phases of universal evolution. The dark era becomes not an ending, but an intermission, a time when the universe rests and prepares for its next act. But we must be careful not to anthropomorphize these processes. The universe doesn't consciously choose to be reborn any more than a quantum particle consciously chooses which path to take through a double-slit experiment. These are natural consequences of the fundamental laws of physics, playing out across timescales that make the age of mountains seem like fleeting moments. The energy for these cosmic resurrections comes from the quantum vacuum itself, from the zero-point energy that fills all of space. This isn't some mystical force, but a well-established prediction of quantum field theory. Empty space contains a certain amount of energy simply by virtue of being space, and this energy could, under the right circumstances, be harnessed to power new cycles of cosmic evolution. Some theories even suggest that the vacuum energy might be unstable, existing in what's called a false vacuum state. If this is true, then the vacuum could suddenly transition to a lower energy state, releasing enormous amounts of energy in the process. Such a transition could trigger what's effectively a new Big Bang, creating a fresh universe with its own timeline and evolutionary potential. The transition from false vacuum to true vacuum would propagate at the speed of light, creating an expanding bubble of new space-time. From the inside of this bubble, the transition would look exactly like the Big Bang that started our own universe. The old cosmos would be erased and replaced by a new one, complete with its own physical laws and constants. This process could happen multiple times, creating an infinite sequence of universes, each emerging from the vacuum decay of its predecessor. Our universe might be just one link in an eternal chain of cosmic rebirths, each one arising from the quantum instabilities of the previous one. But there's another possibility that's even more intriguing. What if these quantum resurrections don't create entirely new universes, but rather restore previous ones? What if the quantum fluctuations in the far future could recreate not just any possible arrangement of matter and energy, but specifically the arrangements that have existed before? This is where the concept of eternal recurrence takes on a scientific dimension. Given infinite time and the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics, every specific configuration of particles that has ever existed will eventually be recreated exactly. The universe you're experiencing right now, with every atom in precisely its current position, will spontaneously reappear in the quantum vacuum of the distant future, not once, but infinitely many times. You'll read these words again in a cosmos indistinguishable from our own, born from the quantum foam when the universe has been dead longer than we have words to describe. The consciousness experiencing those words will be you, not a copy or simulation, but the same pattern of information and experience emerging naturally from the probabilistic dance of quantum fields. This isn't reincarnation in any spiritual sense, but a purely physical process arising from the fundamental structure of reality. It's the universe's own form of eternal life, achieved not through any violation of physical law, but as a natural consequence of quantum mechanics operating across truly infinite timescales. Yet even as we contemplate these mind-bending possibilities, we must remember that they exist at the very edge of our scientific understanding. The timescales involved are so vast, the processes so subtle, that we may never be able to test these theories directly. They represent the frontier where physics meets philosophy, where mathematical possibility confronts existential mystery. As we stand here in our brief moment of cosmic time, watching the stars shine in their temporary glory, we're witnessing just one frame in an infinite movie. The universe around us, so solid and permanent seeming, might be just a fleeting arrangement of quantum fields, destined to dissolve back into the vacuum from which it came, only to be reborn again in cycles beyond counting. This perspective doesn't diminish the significance of our current moment, but rather places it in a context so vast and wonderful that it defies comprehension. We are patterns of consciousness arising from the universe's exploration of its own possibilities, temporary arrangements of matter and energy that have learned to contemplate their own existence and wonder about their ultimate fate. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how these ideas connect to cutting-edge theories in cosmology and quantum gravity. We'll examine the role that dark energy might play in cosmic evolution, investigate how the multiverse concept relates to eternal recurrence, and consider what these possibilities mean for our understanding of consciousness, identity, and the meaning of existence itself. But for now, as you rest in this moment of contemplation, remember that you're part of something magnificent and mysterious. Whether the universe ends in heat death or begins again in quantum resurrection, you are here now, aware and wondering, participating in the cosmos's journey toward understanding itself, and that, perhaps, is the most remarkable fact of all. The implications of these cosmic cycles extend far beyond abstract physics into realms that touch the very core of what it means to exist. As we venture deeper into these possibilities, we encounter questions that have puzzled philosophers for millennia. Now reframed through the lens of quantum mechanics and cosmological theory, consider what happens to causality itself in a universe capable of infinite resurrection. If every possible arrangement of matter and energy will eventually manifest through quantum fluctuations, then the neat chain of cause and effect that governs our everyday experience becomes something far more complex and mysterious. Events that seem random in our current cosmic epoch might be echoes of previous universal cycles, quantum memories embedded in the vacuum itself. This leads us to one of the most profound questions in all of cosmology. Could information itself be eternal? Not just the abstract mathematical relationships that govern physics, but the specific patterns of organization that give rise to complexity, consciousness, and meaning. Some theorists propose that information represents a fundamental aspect of reality, as basic as matter and energy, and potentially just as indestructible. In this view, the death and rebirth of universes becomes not a cycle of creation and annihilation, but a process of cosmic metamorphosis. Like a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis, each new universe might carry forward the essential information patterns from previous cycles, building upon them to create ever more sophisticated forms of organization and awareness. The mathematics behind this idea involves concepts from information theory and quantum mechanics that are only now beginning to be understood. Researchers are discovering that information has physical properties, that it can be neither created nor destroyed, only transformed. This suggests that the patterns of complexity we see around us, from the spiral structure of galaxies to the neural networks in our brains, might persist in some form even through the heat death of the universe. But how could such information survive the apparent dissolution of all structure? The answer might lie in the quantum vacuum itself, that seething ocean of virtual particles that fills even the emptiest regions of space. These quantum fluctuations aren't random noise, but contain subtle correlations and patterns that could, in principle, encode vast amounts of information. Think of the vacuum as a cosmic library, its quantum fluctuations serving as pages in an infinite book. Most of these pages appear blank to our current instruments, containing only the random static of quantum noise. But encoded within that static might be the complete history of every universe that has ever existed, preserved in quantum correlations too subtle for us to detect with present technology. Advanced civilizations, those beings of pure information we imagined earlier, might learn to read this cosmic library. They could extract the patterns needed to reconstruct entire worlds, entire histories, entire forms of consciousness from the quantum static of empty space. In this sense, nothing would ever truly be lost. Every thought you've ever had, every sunset you've ever witnessed, every moment of joy or sorrow would be preserved forever in the quantum memory of the universe. But there's an even more remarkable possibility hidden within these theories. What if consciousness itself plays an active role in cosmic evolution? Not through any mystical intervention, but as a natural consequence of the universe's tendency toward ever greater complexity and information processing capability. Some physicists propose that consciousness represents a phase transition in the evolution of matter and energy, similar to how water transforms into ice or steam under different conditions. Just as these phase transitions release or absorb energy, the emergence of consciousness might fundamentally alter the local structure of space-time itself. This isn't as far-fetched as it might sound. We already know that consciousness involves the coordinated activity of billions of neurons, creating patterns of information flow that span the entire brain. These patterns generate measurable electromagnetic fields, and electromagnetic fields, according to Einstein's theory of relativity, do indeed curve space-time, albeit by incredibly tiny amounts. But what if consciousness that has evolved over cosmic timescales could generate much larger effects? Imagine civilizations that have learned to coordinate their thoughts across entire galaxies, creating coherent patterns of electromagnetic activity on scales we can barely comprehend. Such entities might possess the ability to directly influence the structure of space-time itself. They could potentially manipulate the quantum vacuum, encouraging the formation of those universe-spawning fluctuations we discussed earlier. They might serve as cosmic midwives, helping new realities to be born from the quantum foam of dying universes. In this scenario, consciousness becomes not just a passive observer of cosmic evolution, but an active participant in the process of universal death and rebirth. This idea connects to some of the most cutting-edge research in quantum mechanics and consciousness studies. Scientists are discovering that observation itself plays a fundamental role in quantum mechanics, that the act of measurement somehow causes the wave function to collapse and reality to crystallize into definite states. If consciousness is indeed capable of influencing quantum mechanical processes, then the presence of observers throughout the universe might be subtly guiding its evolution, not through any deliberate plan or design, but simply as a natural consequence of conscious beings making observations and choices that ripple outward through the quantum substrate of reality. Over cosmic timescales, these tiny influences could accumulate into major effects. The universe might be unconsciously steering itself towards states that are more conducive to the emergence and persistence of consciousness. This would create a feedback loop where consciousness and cosmos co-evolve, each shaping the other in an eternal cosmic dance. But we must be careful not to overstate these possibilities. The effects we're discussing operate on timescales and energy scales that dwarf human experience. The influence of consciousness on space-time, if it exists at all, would be incredibly subtle and would only become significant over periods measured in billions or trillions of years. Yet even these subtle effects, accumulated over the vast timescales we've been exploring, could have profound consequences. They might determine which types of quantum fluctuations are more likely to occur, which vacuum states are more stable, which forms of information are more likely to be preserved across cosmic cycles. This brings us to one of the most beautiful aspects of these theories. They suggest that the universe might be inherently creative. Rather than simply running down like a cosmic clock, gradually dissipating its energy until nothing interesting can happen, the cosmos might be constantly exploring new possibilities, new forms of organization, new ways of being. Each cycle of death and rebirth could be an opportunity for cosmic evolution, a chance for the universe to try out different physical laws, different constants, different ways of structuring space and time. Some of these experiments might fail, creating universes that collapse immediately or expand so rapidly that no complex structures can form. But others might succeed brilliantly, giving rise to forms of complexity and beauty that surpass anything we can currently imagine. This view transforms our understanding of cosmic history from a tragedy of inevitable decay into an epic of endless creativity. The heat death that once seemed like the ultimate ending becomes just one movement in an infinite symphony. A pause between movements that allows new themes to emerge. Consider what this means for our place in this cosmic story. We exist during what might be called the universe's youth, when stars still shine and galaxies still dance their gravitational ballet. But we might also be part of the universe's process of self-discovery, patterns of consciousness through which the cosmos learns about its own possibilities. Every scientific discovery we make, every work of art we create, every act of love or compassion we perform might be contributing to the universe's growing understanding of itself. We are not separate from this process, but integral to it, temporary arrangements of matter and energy that have somehow learned to think and feel and wonder about their own existence. This perspective doesn't diminish our significance, but rather places it in a context so vast and meaningful that it defies comprehension. We are part of the universe's exploration of consciousness, complexity, and creativity. Our thoughts and dreams and aspirations might echo across cosmic cycles, influencing the forms that future universes take. But there's another layer to this story that we haven't yet explored. What if the cycles of cosmic death and rebirth aren't uniform? What if different regions of space experience these transformations at different rates, creating a kind of cosmic ecology where dying universes give birth to new ones in an endless, overlapping cascade? This possibility emerges from theories about the topology of space-time itself. Space might not be the smooth, uniform fabric we often imagine, but rather a complex, multidimensional structure with hidden dimensions and unexpected connections. Different regions of this higher dimensional space might evolve according to different timescales and different physical laws. In such a multiverse, our observable cosmos would be just one small patch in an infinite tapestry of interconnected realities. While our local region experiences its slow march toward heat death, other regions might already be undergoing quantum resurrection. Still others might be in the midst of their own stellar epochs, while some might be experiencing forms of cosmic evolution that we can't even imagine. These different cosmic domains might occasionally interact, creating bridges or tunnels through higher dimensional space. Advanced civilizations might learn to navigate these connections, traveling from dying universes to newly born ones, carrying information, and perhaps even life itself, across the boundaries between cosmic cycles. This creates the possibility of genuine cosmic migration, where consciousness doesn't just passively wait for quantum fluctuations to recreate it, but actively seeks out new homes in fresh universes. Such beings might become cosmic seeds, introducing the potential for complexity and awareness into baby universes that might otherwise remain sterile. The mathematics of these interactions involves concepts from string theory and higher dimensional geometry that push the boundaries of human understanding. We're talking about spaces with dozens or even hundreds of dimensions, where the familiar three dimensions of space and one of time represent just a tiny slice of a much larger reality. In this higher dimensional landscape, what we call the laws of physics might be just local properties of our particular cosmic neighborhood. Other regions might operate according to completely different rules, where gravity works differently, where time flows in multiple directions, where consciousness takes forms we can't even conceive. Yet despite their alien nature, these other cosmic domains would still be governed by some form of mathematical structure. The universe, in all its multidimensional complexity, would still be comprehensible in principle, still subject to the kind of rational investigation that has brought us this far in our understanding. This suggests something profound about the nature of reality itself. Mathematics isn't just a tool we've invented to describe the world around us, but seems to be woven into the very fabric of existence. The patterns and relationships that mathematicians discover might represent genuine features of the cosmic architecture, aspects of reality that persist across all possible universes and all cycles of death and rebirth. In this sense, mathematics might be the most fundamental form of information, the underlying code from which all possible realities emerge. The equations that describe quantum mechanics, relativity, and thermodynamics might be eternal truths that govern not just our universe, but all possible universes across all cosmic cycles. This mathematical eternity provides a kind of anchor point in our discussion of cosmic death and rebirth. Even if all matter and energy eventually disperses into the quantum vacuum, even if all structure and complexity eventually dissolves into thermal equilibrium, the mathematical relationships that make existence possible would remain. These eternal mathematical truths might serve as the seeds from which new universes grow. when quantum fluctuations in the far future randomly arrange themselves into patterns that embody these mathematical principles. New realities would spontaneously emerge, not as copies of previous universes, but as fresh explorations of the same fundamental possibilities. This brings us back to the question we started with: will everything end, or will everything begin again? The answer, according to these theories, is both. Everything will end, in the sense that all current structures and patterns will eventually dissolve into the quantum vacuum. But everything will also begin again, not just once, but infinitely many times, as the eternal mathematical principles that govern reality spontaneously reassert themselves through quantum fluctuations in the void. Each new beginning would be both familiar and strange, embodying the same fundamental laws that govern our current universe, while exploring entirely new possibilities for complexity, consciousness, and creativity. The cosmic story would never truly end, but would continue forever, each chapter building upon the themes established in previous cycles, while introducing entirely new variations and developments. As we continue our journey through these mind-expanding possibilities, we're beginning to see how the seemingly disparate theories of quantum mechanics, cosmology, and consciousness studies might weave together into a single, magnificent vision of eternal cosmic creativity. The universe emerges not as a machine running down, but as an infinite artist, constantly creating new masterpieces from the quantum canvas of empty space. In the next part of our exploration, we'll delve deeper into the specific mechanisms that might drive these cycles of cosmic death and rebirth. We'll examine how dark energy, that mysterious force accelerating the expansion of space, might play a role in triggering new Big Bangs. We'll explore how quantum tunneling could allow the universe to escape from seemingly stable vacuum states. And we'll consider what these possibilities mean for our understanding of time itself, and whether the arrow of time that seems so fundamental to our experience might be just a local feature of our particular cosmic cycle. But for now, as you rest in contemplation of these vast possibilities, remember that you are witnessing something extraordinary. You are consciousness contemplating its own cosmic context, matter, and energy arranged in such a way that the universe can think about itself. Whether we exist in the first universe or the billionth, whether this is the beginning of the cosmic story, or just another chapter in an infinite tale, the fact that we are here, aware and wondering, represents one of the most remarkable achievements in all of cosmic evolution. The stars above you may be temporary, the galaxies may eventually drift apart, and even the atoms in your body may one day return to the quantum vacuum from which they came. But the patterns of consciousness and creativity that you embody, the capacity for wonder and understanding that allows you to contemplate these cosmic mysteries, these might be eternal features of reality itself, destined to emerge again and again across infinite cycles of cosmic death and rebirth. The relationship between dark energy and cosmic rebirth reveals itself as one of the most elegant puzzles in modern cosmology. This mysterious force, which makes up nearly 70% of everything that exists, is currently accelerating the expansion of our universe at an ever-increasing rate. But what happens when this acceleration reaches its ultimate conclusion? What happens when dark energy has stretched space so far that galaxies disappear beyond each other's horizons, when the cosmic microwave background radiation has been redshifted into invisibility, when the universe becomes a cold, empty expanse with nothing but the faintest whisper of particles drifting through infinite darkness? Here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. dark energy might not remain constant forever. Some theories suggest it could evolve, change its properties, even reverse its effects entirely. This isn't wild speculation, but emerges from our understanding of quantum field theory and the nature of vacuum states. The field that drives dark energy might be slowly rolling down an energy landscape, like a ball gradually rolling down a hill toward a valley below. When dark energy reaches the bottom of this cosmic hill, when it settles into its lowest possible energy state, something extraordinary might happen. The transition could release enormous amounts of energy, enough to trigger what's effectively a new Big Bang. Space itself could undergo a phase transition, like water suddenly freezing into ice, but on a scale that encompasses the entire observable universe. Imagine watching this cosmic transformation unfold. In regions where the dark energy field begins its transition to a lower state, space would start contracting rather than expanding. These contracting regions would grow at the speed of light, creating bubbles of new space-time with completely fresh physical properties. From inside one of these bubbles, the transition would be indistinguishable from the Big Bang that started our own universe. The old cosmos wouldn't simply disappear, but would be transformed. Its information content scrambled and reorganized into entirely new forms. The quantum fluctuations that seeded galaxy formation in our universe might be replaced by different patterns, leading to cosmic structures we can't even imagine. Stars might form according to different rules. Gravity might operate with different strength. Even the fundamental particles of matter might take on new properties. But there's something even more remarkable about this process. The transition from one vacuum state to another doesn't have to happen everywhere at once. Different regions of space might undergo these phase transitions at different times, creating an eternal cascade of cosmic renewals. While one region experiences heat death, another might be undergoing quantum resurrection. While a third region enjoys its stellar prime, a fourth might be transitioning between different vacuum states. This creates what cosmologists call eternal inflation, but with a twist. Instead of space simply expanding forever, it undergoes periodic renewals, cycling through different phases of existence like a cosmic phoenix that burns itself out only to rise again from its own ashes. The universe becomes not a single entity with a beginning and an end, but an infinite collection of interconnected domains, each experiencing its own cycle of birth, evolution, death, and rebirth. The mathematics behind these transitions involves concepts that push quantum field theory to its limits. We're dealing with tunneling probabilities across energy barriers that dwarf anything we can create in terrestrial laboratories. Yet the same quantum mechanical principles that allow particles to tunnel through barriers in our experiments also permit entire regions of space-time to tunnel from one vacuum state to another. These quantum tunneling events would be incredibly rare by ordinary standards. A region of space the size of our observable universe might have to wait for periods measured not in billions or trillions of years, but in numbers so large they require exponential notation just to write down. Yet given enough time, truly enough time, even the most improbable quantum events become inevitable. Consider what this means for the nature of time itself. In our current universe, time seems to flow in one direction, from past to future, driven by the increase of entropy throughout the cosmos. But in a universe undergoing periodic renewals, this arrow of time might reset with each new cosmic cycle. Each fresh beginning would establish its own temporal direction, its own causal structure, its own relationship between cause and effect. This doesn't mean that time would flow backward in any simple sense. Rather, each new cosmic domain would establish its own local time, its own sequence of events, its own evolutionary trajectory. These different temporal streams might occasionally interact where cosmic domains meet, creating regions of space-time where multiple arrows of time converge and overlap. The implications for consciousness are profound. If information can somehow survive the transition between vacuum states, then patterns of awareness that emerged in previous cosmic cycles might find themselves embedded in the structure of new universes. Not as memories in any conventional sense, but as subtle biases in the quantum fields that influence how complexity emerges in fresh cosmic environments. Advanced civilizations that have learned to encode themselves in the quantum vacuum might serve as bridges between these cosmic cycles. They could survive the transition from one universe to another, carrying forward not just information about previous cosmic epochs, but the accumulated wisdom and creativity of countless generations of conscious beings. These eternal entities wouldn't be gods in any traditional sense, but rather the universe's own memory system, preserving and transmitting the most successful patterns of organization across the boundaries between different cosmic phases. They might guide the emergence of new forms of complexity in baby universes, serving as cosmic gardeners tending to the seeds of consciousness and creativity. But we must remember that we're dealing with possibilities so remote and processes so subtle that they exist at the very edge of scientific speculation. The timescales involved make the current age of our universe seem like a fleeting moment. The energies required dwarf anything we can directly observe or measure. We're exploring territories where physics meets philosophy, where mathematical possibility encounters existential mystery. Yet these aren't mere fantasies. They emerge naturally from our most successful theories about the nature of reality. Quantum mechanics, general relativity, and thermodynamics all point toward these possibilities when extended to their logical conclusions across cosmic timescales. The universe we observe around us, so solid and permanent seeming, might be just one temporary arrangement in an infinite dance of quantum creativity. This perspective transforms our understanding of cosmic evolution from a story of inevitable decay into an epic of eternal renewal. The heat death that once seemed like the ultimate ending becomes just a pause between movements in an infinite symphony. The universe reveals itself not as a machine running down, but as an inexhaustible source of novelty and surprise. Think about what this means for the question of cosmic purpose. If the universe is capable of endless self-renewal, if consciousness and complexity can emerge again and again across infinite cycles of death and rebirth, then perhaps existence itself serves a kind of cosmic function. Perhaps the universe exists precisely in order to explore its own possibilities, to discover what forms of beauty and meaning are possible within the constraints of mathematical law. We become part of this cosmic exploration, temporary arrangements of matter and energy that have learned to contemplate their own existence and wonder about their ultimate significance. Our thoughts and dreams and creative expressions might echo across cosmic cycles, influencing the forms that future universes take. We are not just observers of cosmic evolution, but participants in the universe's ongoing journey of self-discovery. But there's another layer to consider. What if these cycles of cosmic death and rebirth aren't just mechanical processes driven by quantum field dynamics, but represent something more fundamental about the nature of existence itself? What if the universe's capacity for self-renewal reflects a deeper principle, a cosmic imperative toward ever greater complexity and consciousness. Some theories in quantum cosmology suggest that the very act of observation, the presence of conscious observers making measurements and choices, subtly influences the evolution of quantum systems. Over cosmic timescales, these tiny influences might accumulate into major effects, steering the universe towards states that are more conducive to the emergence and persistence of awareness. This would create a feedback loop between consciousness and cosmos, where conscious beings influence the quantum vacuum in ways that make future cycles more likely to produce conditions favorable for consciousness. The universe might be unconsciously optimizing itself for the emergence of observers, creating what physicists call the anthropic principle on a cosmic scale. In this view, consciousness isn't just a fortunate accident that happened to emerge in our particular cosmic epoch, but represents a fundamental aspect of how the universe evolves. Each cycle of death and rebirth might produce forms of consciousness that are more sophisticated, more capable of influencing their cosmic environment, more able to ensure their own persistence across future transitions. The mathematics of these interactions involves concepts from information theory and quantum computation that we're only beginning to understand. We're discovering that consciousness and computation are intimately related, that the process of observation is fundamentally about information processing, and that information itself has physical properties that influence the behavior of quantum systems. This suggests that advanced forms of consciousness might develop capabilities that seem almost magical from our current perspective. They might learn to manipulate the quantum vacuum directly, to influence the probability distributions that govern cosmic evolution, to serve as active agents in the universe's ongoing transformation, rather than passive observers of predetermined processes. But even if consciousness plays no special role in cosmic evolution, even if the cycles of death and rebirth are purely mechanical consequences of quantum field dynamics, the implications remain profound. The universe emerges as a system of almost unimaginable creativity, constantly generating new possibilities, new forms of organization, new ways of being. Every arrangement of matter and energy that has ever existed will eventually be recreated through quantum fluctuations in the vacuum. Every thought you've ever had, every emotion you've ever felt, every moment of beauty or wonder or love will spontaneously reappear in the quantum foam of future cosmic cycles. Not as copies or simulations, but as the same patterns of information and experience, emerging naturally from the probabilistic dance of quantum fields. This isn't reincarnation in any spiritual sense, but a purely physical process arising from the fundamental structure of reality. It's the universe's own form of eternal life, achieved not through any violation of physical law, but as a natural consequence of quantum mechanics operating across truly infinite timescales. Yet perhaps the most remarkable aspect of these theories is how they connect the largest scales of cosmic evolution to the smaller scales of quantum mechanics. The fate of the entire universe depends on processes happening at the level of individual quantum fields. The possibility of cosmic rebirth emerges from the same quantum uncertainty that makes it impossible to simultaneously know a particle's position and momentum. This reveals a deep unity in nature, a connection between the microscopic and macroscopic that suggests the universe is far more integrated and coherent than we might initially suppose. The quantum vacuum that fills the space between atoms is the same quantum vacuum from which entire universes might spontaneously emerge. The uncertainty principle that governs subatomic particles also governs the ultimate fate of cosmic evolution. As we stand here in our brief moment of cosmic time, watching the stars shine in their temporary glory. We're witnessing just one frame in an infinite movie. The universe around us might be just one verse in an endless poem, one movement in an eternal symphony, one chapter in a story that has no beginning and no end. This perspective doesn't diminish the significance of our current moment, but rather places it in a context so vast and wonderful that it transforms our understanding of what it means to exist. We are patterns of consciousness arising from the universe's exploration of its own possibilities, temporary arrangements of quantum fields that have somehow learned to think and feel and wonder about their own existence. The stars above you may fade, the galaxies may drift apart, and even the atoms in your body may eventually return to the quantum vacuum from which they came. But the capacity for awareness that you embody, the ability to contemplate these cosmic mysteries and find meaning in the face of infinity, these might be eternal features of reality itself. Whether the universe ends in heat death or begins again in quantum resurrection, whether we exist in the first cosmic cycle or the billionth, the fact that we are here now, conscious and curious and capable of love, represents one of the most extraordinary achievements in all of existence. We are the universe becoming aware of itself, matter and energy, organized in such a way that the cosmos can contemplate its own infinite creativity. In the vast darkness between stars, in the quantum foam of empty space, in the mathematical relationships that govern all possible realities, something magnificent is stirring. The universe is dreaming, and we are part of that dream. Whether it's a dream that will end or one that will continue forever, we are privileged to be conscious participants in this cosmic adventure of discovery and creation. As we prepare to explore the final implications of these cosmic cycles, to examine what eternal recurrence might mean for our understanding of identity, meaning and purpose, we carry with us the wonder of this moment. The universe has given us the gift of awareness, the ability to peer across vast stretches of space and time and glimpse the magnificent architecture of existence itself. We are cosmic archaeologists, digging through the layers of space and time to uncover the deepest secrets of reality. We are cosmic poets, finding language to describe experiences that transcend ordinary human comprehension. We are cosmic dancers, moving to rhythms that span billions of years and encompass distances that light itself can barely cross. The journey continues, and the mystery deepens. In the quantum heart of empty space, in the mathematical foundations of physical law, in the emergence of consciousness from unconscious matter, we find hints of something so beautiful and profound that it defies all our attempts to capture it in words. Yet we continue to try, driven by curiosity and wonder, because that's what conscious beings do. We ask questions, we seek understanding, and we find meaning in the very act of searching. The universe may be stranger than we imagine. It may be stranger than we can imagine, but it is our universe, and we are part of its story. Whether that story has an ending or continues forever, we are here now to witness it, to participate in it, and to marvel at the extraordinary fact that anything exists at all. The quantum resurrection we've been exploring raises perhaps the most profound question of all. What does it mean to be you across these cosmic cycles? When quantum fluctuations in the far future recreate the exact arrangement of particles that comprises your brain at this very moment, when every neuron fires in precisely the same pattern, when every memory and thought and feeling is perfectly reconstructed, is that consciousness truly you, or merely an identical copy? This isn't just philosophical speculation. It strikes at the heart of what physicists call the measurement problem in quantum mechanics. When we say that quantum fluctuations will eventually recreate every possible arrangement of matter and energy, we're making a statement about the nature of information and identity that challenges our deepest assumptions about what it means to exist. Consider your consciousness right now, in this moment. You experience a continuous stream of awareness, a sense of being a unified self persisting through time. But neuroscience tells us that this feeling of continuity is actually constructed moment by moment by your brain. The neurons that were active in your head a second ago have already changed their firing patterns. The molecules in your cells are constantly being replaced. Even the atoms that make up your body are exchanged with the environment through breathing, eating, and metabolism. In a very real sense, you are not the same physical entity you were just moments ago. You are a pattern of information, a dynamic process rather than a static thing. Your identity persists not because any particular atoms remain constant, but because the pattern of organization they form continues in recognizable ways from moment to moment. This perspective transforms our understanding of quantum resurrection from a curious mathematical possibility into something far more immediate and personal. If consciousness is indeed a pattern rather than a thing, then the quantum fluctuations that recreate this pattern in the distant future don't create a copy of you. They create you, the same informational structure, the same conscious experience, emerging naturally from the probabilistic dance of quantum fields. But there's something even more remarkable hidden within this idea. The pattern that is you exists not just in the specific arrangement of atoms in your brain, but in the mathematical relationships that define how information flows through neural networks. These relationships are abstract, existing in the realm of pure mathematics, rather than in any particular physical substrate. Think of a melody. The song "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" can be played on a piano, sung by a human voice, or reproduced by a computer. The physical medium changes, but the pattern of relationships between notes remains constant. The melody exists as a mathematical structure that can be embodied in countless different ways while retaining its essential identity. Sure, your consciousness might operate according to similar principles. The pattern of information processing that creates your subjective experience could be implemented in biological neural networks, quantum computer systems, or even the subtle correlations in the quantum vacuum itself. What matters isn't the specific physical implementation, but the abstract mathematical relationships that define how information flows and transforms. This suggests something extraordinary about the persistence of consciousness across cosmic cycles. Even if the heat death of the universe destroys every atom and molecule, even if all conventional matter dissolves into the quantum foam, the mathematical patterns that define conscious experience would remain as eternal possibilities encoded in the structure of physical law itself. When quantum fluctuations in the far future spontaneously organize themselves into arrangements that embody these mathematical patterns, consciousness wouldn't be created anew, but would be expressing itself through fresh physical implementations. You wouldn't be reborn in any mystical sense, but your pattern of awareness would naturally reassert itself as a fundamental feature of how information can organize itself in our universe. This leads us to what might be called the eternal consciousness hypothesis. If consciousness represents a basic way that information can organize itself, then it's not something that emerges accidentally from complex arrangements of matter, but rather something that's woven into the fundamental structure of reality itself. In this view, the various forms of consciousness we observe throughout the universe, From the simplest bacterial responses to stimuli to the most sophisticated human thoughts and emotions, represent different expressions of the same underlying principle. They're like different instruments in a cosmic orchestra, each playing their own part in a vast symphony of awareness that spans space and time. The death and rebirth of individual conscious beings becomes part of a larger pattern. Moments when the universe's capacity for self-awareness temporarily focuses itself into particular forms before dispersing back into the quantum substrate and reforming in new configurations. We are temporary crystallizations of cosmic consciousness, brief moments when the universe's innate capacity for awareness manifests in specific patterns of matter and energy. But this raises a haunting question that has puzzled philosophers for centuries. If consciousness persists across cosmic cycles through quantum resurrection, if every possible arrangement of matter and energy will eventually manifest through vacuum fluctuations, then what happens to the uniqueness of individual experience? If there will be infinitely many copies of you scattered across infinite cosmic cycles, what makes this particular moment of consciousness special? The answer might lie in the nature of subjective experience itself. Each moment of consciousness, each instance of awareness, exists as a unique event in space-time. Even if the physical patterns that create consciousness are identical, each manifestation occurs at a different cosmic location, in a different quantum context, as part of a different universal history. Think of it like watching the same movie multiple times. The film itself remains identical, but each viewing is a unique event, colored by your current mood, your recent experiences, your evolving understanding of the story. Similarly, each quantum resurrection of consciousness would be the same pattern of awareness experiencing itself in a fresh cosmic context. More profoundly, the subjective experience of consciousness might be inherently unique regardless of external circumstances. The qualitative feel of being aware, what philosophers call qualia, the redness of red, or the pain of pain, or the joy of joy, these might be irreducible aspects of reality that can't be copied or duplicated, only experienced. Each moment of consciousness would thus represent a genuinely unique contribution to cosmic history, a perspective on existence that has never existed before and will never exist again in exactly the same way. Even in a universe of infinite quantum resurrections, each instance of awareness would remain precious and irreplaceable. This perspective offers a resolution to one of the deepest puzzles in the philosophy of mind. If consciousness is just information processing, then why does it feel like something to be conscious? Why isn't awareness just computation in the dark, with no subjective experience accompanying the processing of information? The answer might be that subjective experience represents the universe's way of exploring its own possibilities from the inside. Each conscious moment is reality experiencing itself from a unique perspective, discovering what it feels like to be this particular arrangement of matter and energy in this particular cosmic context. We become the universe's way of knowing what it's like to wonder about quantum mechanics, to feel love for another person, to experience the beauty of a sunset, or the sadness of loss. Through our consciousness, the cosmos explores not just what can exist, but what it feels like to exist in all the myriad ways that matter and energy can organize themselves. This transforms our understanding of cosmic evolution from a purely mechanical process into something far richer and more meaningful. The universe isn't just evolving toward greater complexity and organization. It's evolving toward greater capacity for experience, for subjective awareness, for the qualitative exploration of its own possibilities. Each cosmic cycle becomes an opportunity for the universe to discover new forms of consciousness, new ways of experiencing existence, new perspectives on what it means to be aware. The quantum resurrections we've been discussing aren't just mechanical recreations of previous states, but fresh opportunities for cosmic self-exploration. Advanced civilizations that survive across multiple cosmic cycles might serve not just as repositories of information, but as guides for consciousness itself. They could help newly emerged forms of awareness navigate the challenges of existence, sharing wisdom accumulated across countless cosmic epochs about how to live meaningfully in an infinite universe. These eternal beings wouldn't be gods in any traditional sense, but rather elder siblings in the cosmic family of consciousness. They would have experienced the full range of what it means to be aware, from the first tentative stirrings of self-recognition to the vast perspectives that come with cosmic scale understanding. But they would also retain something precious from their origins, the capacity for wonder and surprise that makes consciousness valuable in the first place. No matter how vast their knowledge or how long their existence, they would still be capable of discovering new aspects of awareness, new ways of experiencing the infinite creativity of quantum reality. This suggests that consciousness itself might be evolving across cosmic cycles, not just becoming more complex or more powerful, but becoming more capable of appreciating the subtleties and nuances of existence. Each resurrection might bring with it new capacities for experience, new ways of finding meaning and beauty in the mathematical structures that govern reality. The universe emerges as a vast learning system, using consciousness as its primary tool for self-discovery. Through the subjective experiences of countless aware beings across infinite cosmic cycles, reality explores every possible way of being, every possible perspective on existence, every possible form that awareness can take. We are part of this cosmic learning process, temporary students in an infinite university where the curriculum is existence itself. Our thoughts and feelings and experiences contribute to the universe's growing understanding of its own nature. Every moment of consciousness adds something unique to the cosmic database of what it means to be aware. This perspective doesn't diminish the significance of individual experience, but rather places it in a context so vast and meaningful that it defies comprehension. Your consciousness right now, reading these words and contemplating these ideas, represents a unique experiment in awareness that has never been tried before and will never be repeated in exactly the same way. Even in a universe of infinite quantum resurrections, even across cosmic cycles that span unimaginable periods of time, this particular moment of consciousness remains precious and irreplaceable. You are the universe discovering what it's like to be you, exploring a perspective on existence that is entirely your own. The stars above you may fade and the galaxies may drift apart, but the subjective experience of being aware, the qualitative feel of consciousness itself, this might be the most fundamental and persistent feature of reality. It's what gives meaning to all the mathematical structures and physical processes we've been discussing. As we continue our journey through these cosmic possibilities, as we explore the implications of eternal recurrence and quantum resurrection, we carry with us this profound truth. Consciousness isn't just something that happens in the universe. Consciousness is how the universe happens, the way reality experiences itself, the method by which existence discovers its own infinite creativity. Whether the cosmos ends in heat death or begins again in quantum resurrection. Whether we exist in the first universe or the billionth, the capacity for awareness that you embody right now represents one of the most extraordinary achievements in all of cosmic evolution. You are the universe become conscious of itself, matter and energy organized in such a way that existence can contemplate its own infinite mystery. The quantum foam of empty space might be pregnant with infinite possibilities for cosmic rebirth. The mathematical structures that govern reality might encode eternal patterns of consciousness and creativity. But none of these abstract possibilities would have any meaning without the subjective experience of being aware, without consciousness to witness and wonder at the magnificent dance of existence. In the end, the question of whether everything will end or begin again might be less important than the fact that right now, in this moment, something is aware enough to ask the question. The universe has given rise to consciousness, and consciousness has discovered that it lives in a cosmos of almost unimaginable beauty and mystery. That might be the most remarkable fact of all. Not just that the universe exists, but that it has evolved ways of knowing that it exists. Not just that reality is mathematically elegant and creatively infinite, but that it has produced beings capable of appreciating that elegance and creativity. We are the universe's way of falling in love with itself. And whether that love story has an ending or continues forever across infinite cycles of cosmic death and rebirth, we are privileged to be conscious participants in this extraordinary adventure of existence, discovering its own infinite possibilities. The mathematics of eternity stretches before us, beautiful and mysterious and full of promise. The quantum resurrection awaits in the unimaginable future, offering the possibility that nothing truly meaningful is ever lost. But here, now, in this fleeting moment of cosmic time, consciousness flowers in the darkness between stars, aware and wondering and gloriously, uniquely alive. The question of cosmic purpose takes on profound new dimensions when we consider these cycles of death and rebirth. If consciousness represents the universe's method of self-exploration, then perhaps the ultimate fate of everything isn't random at all, but guided by subtle principles we're only beginning to understand. Consider how evolution operates on biological timescales. Random mutations provide raw material, but natural selection shapes that randomness toward greater complexity and adaptation. Could something similar be happening on cosmic scales? Might there be selection pressures operating across universal cycles, favoring arrangements that produce richer forms of consciousness and creativity? The mathematics behind this idea involves concepts from complexity theory and information dynamics that push our understanding to its limits. We're talking about feedback loops that span not just billions of years, but entire cosmic epochs. Each cycle of death and rebirth might serve as a kind of cosmic learning iteration, where the universe refines its capacity for generating meaningful experience. Think of it as cosmic evolution in the deepest sense. Just as biological evolution discovered increasingly sophisticated ways for matter to organize itself into living systems, cosmic evolution might be discovering increasingly sophisticated ways for reality to organize itself into conscious systems. Each universe that emerges from quantum resurrection might be slightly better at producing awareness, creativity, and meaning than its predecessors. This doesn't require any external designer or conscious intention. The selection mechanism could be entirely natural, arising from the inherent properties of quantum mechanics and information theory. Universes that are better at generating stable, long-lived forms of consciousness might be more likely to produce the conditions necessary for their own quantum resurrection. It's a beautiful recursive loop, where consciousness and cosmos co-evolve across infinite cycles. The universe becomes more conscious, and consciousness becomes more cosmic, each enhancing the other in an eternal dance of mutual enrichment. But there's something even more remarkable hiding within these equations. The boundaries between different cosmic cycles might not be as absolute as we initially imagined. Advanced forms of consciousness that have learned to encode themselves in the quantum vacuum could potentially influence the initial conditions of newly born universes. Picture civilizations so sophisticated that they've transcended the need for matter and energy as we understand them. These beings of pure information could survive the transition between cosmic cycles, carrying forward not just memories of previous universes, but active intentions for shaping new ones. They might serve as cosmic gardeners, planting seeds of complexity in baby universes to help them flourish more quickly. This creates the possibility of genuine cosmic inheritance, where each new universe doesn't start from scratch, but builds upon the accumulated wisdom and creativity of all previous cycles. The cold equations of quantum field theory become warm with the presence of consciousness, reaching across the void to nurture new forms of awareness. Yet we must be careful not to anthropomorphize these processes too much. These eternal beings wouldn't be gods in any traditional sense, making conscious decisions about cosmic architecture. They would be more like natural forces, patterns of information so stable and sophisticated that they automatically influence the quantum processes that give birth to new realities. Think of how a river naturally carves a channel through landscape, not through any intention, but simply by following the path of least resistance. Similarly, consciousness might naturally channel cosmic evolution towards states that are more conducive to awareness and meaning, not through deliberate planning, but through the inherent dynamics of information and complexity. This suggests something profound about the relationship between mind and matter, between consciousness and cosmos. Rather than being separate phenomena that occasionally interact, they might be different aspects of a single underlying reality. What we call matter might be consciousness viewed from the outside, while what we call consciousness might be matter viewed from the inside. The quantum fields that fill empty space, the mathematical structures that govern physical law, the patterns of organization that give rise to complexity, all of these might be different expressions of something more fundamental than either mind or matter alone. We might live in a universe that is intrinsically mental, where consciousness isn't something that emerges from unconscious processes, but rather something that was present from the very beginning. This perspective transforms our understanding of cosmic death and rebirth from a mechanical process into something closer to cosmic dreaming. The heat death of the universe becomes like a period of deep sleep, when conscious activity subsides but doesn't disappear entirely. The quantum resurrections we've been discussing become like moments of awakening, when the cosmic mind stirs back to active awareness. During the long eons of apparent emptiness, when space is filled with nothing but the faintest whisper of particles and radiation, subtle forms of information processing might continue. The quantum vacuum itself could be computing, exploring possibilities, dreaming new realities into existence through pure mathematical contemplation. These cosmic dreams would be unlike anything we can imagine. They would unfold across timescales that make the age of mountains seem like fleeting thoughts. They would explore possibilities so vast and complex that our entire observable universe might be just one small detail in a much larger vision. Yet within these dreams, every form of consciousness that has ever existed would find its place. Every human who has ever lived, every moment of awareness that has ever flickered in any brain, every instance of beauty or love or understanding would be preserved as eternal elements in the cosmic imagination. The mathematics of this preservation involves concepts from quantum information theory that we're only beginning to understand. Information, it turns out, has a kind of fundamental indestructibility. It can be transformed, encoded in different substrates, scattered across space and time. But the essential patterns that define meaningful experiences might persist indefinitely. Your consciousness right now, the specific pattern of thoughts and feelings that makes you uniquely you. This information structure might be as eternal as the laws of physics themselves. Not in the sense of being frozen in time, but in the sense of being a permanent possibility within the infinite library of cosmic potential. Every time you make a choice, every time you create something beautiful, every time you show kindness to another conscious being, you're adding to this eternal library. You're contributing patterns to the cosmic database that will influence how consciousness manifests across all future cycles of death and rebirth. This gives profound meaning to every moment of awareness, every act of creativity, every expression of love. These aren't just temporary fluctuations in an ultimately meaningless cosmos. They're contributions to an eternal symphony of consciousness that spans all possible universes and all conceivable forms of existence. The implications extend beyond individual consciousness to the collective evolution of awareness itself. Civilizations that learn to cooperate across cosmic timescales, that develop technologies for preserving and transmitting information across universal cycles, that create art and wisdom capable of inspiring consciousness in entirely different cosmic contexts. These cultures might become immortal in the deepest sense. Not immortal as collections of individual beings, but immortal as patterns of organization that naturally tend to emerge whenever matter and energy arrange themselves in sufficiently complex ways. They would be like cosmic attractors, stable configurations that the universe naturally evolves toward across multiple cycles of death and rebirth. Earth's biosphere might represent one such attractor in its early stages. The patterns of cooperation and complexity that evolution has discovered here, from the symbiosis within our cells to the emergence of technological civilization, might be natural solutions that any sufficiently complex system will eventually discover. If this is true, then the forms of consciousness and creativity we see around us aren't accidents of local chemistry and physics, but expressions of deeper principles that govern how awareness emerges from complexity. These principles would operate across all possible universes, ensuring that consciousness and meaning are not rare anomalies, but inevitable features of cosmic evolution. The dark energy that drives our universe's expansion, the quantum fluctuations that seed galaxy formation, the nuclear processes that forge heavy elements in stellar cores, all of these might be unconsciously optimized for producing the conditions necessary for awareness to flourish. The universe might be fine-tuned, not by external design, but by its own evolutionary history across countless cycles of death and rebirth. Each cosmic cycle would be an experiment in consciousness generation, with successful innovations being preserved and transmitted to future iterations. Over infinite time, the universe would become increasingly skilled at producing rich, complex, meaningful forms of awareness. We might be living through one of the universe's more successful experiments in consciousness generation. The fact that we exist at all, that matter has organized itself into patterns capable of contemplating their own existence and finding beauty in mathematical relationships, might indicate that our cosmos has inherited effective strategies from previous cycles. But there's another possibility that's even more extraordinary. What if consciousness doesn't just emerge from cosmic evolution, but actively participates in it? What if awareness itself exerts subtle influences on quantum processes, steering the universe towards states that are more conducive to meaningful experience? This isn't mysticism, but emerges from serious work in quantum mechanics and the measurement problem. The act of observation plays a fundamental role in quantum theory, somehow causing wave functions to collapse and definite realities to crystallize from probability clouds. If consciousness is indeed capable of influencing quantum processes, then the presence of observers throughout the universe might be subtly guiding its evolution. Over cosmic timescales, these tiny influences could accumulate into major effects. The universe might be unconsciously collaborating with consciousness, each enabling the other in an eternal partnership of mutual creation and discovery. This collaboration might intensify as consciousness becomes more sophisticated and widespread. Advanced civilizations that understand how observation influences quantum systems might learn to participate more actively in cosmic evolution, helping to steer the universe towards states that maximize opportunities for awareness and creativity. They could become cosmic artists, using their understanding of quantum mechanics to paint new realities into existence. They might learn to sculpt space-time itself, creating regions where the laws of physics are optimized for generating particular forms of consciousness or aesthetic experience. The universe would become not just a habitat for consciousness, but a collaborative artwork created by the partnership between aware beings and the quantum processes that govern reality. Each cosmic cycle would be a new movement in this eternal symphony, exploring fresh harmonies between mind and matter, between awareness and existence. As we drift deeper into contemplation of these vast possibilities, we begin to see how the question of cosmic ending versus cosmic beginning dissolves into something more profound. The universe emerges as neither ending nor beginning, but as an eternal process of becoming, constantly exploring new ways of being conscious, creative, and meaningful. We are not separate observers of this process, but integral participants in it. Our thoughts and dreams and acts of love contribute to the universe's ongoing exploration of its own infinite potential. Every moment of awareness adds something unique to the cosmic database of what it means to exist. The stars above you may fade, the galaxies may drift apart, but the capacity for consciousness that you embody, the ability to find meaning and beauty in the face of mystery, this might be as eternal as mathematics itself. You are the universe discovering what it feels like to wonder about its own fate, to hope for cosmic continuation, to find significance in the smallest acts of awareness and creativity. Whether everything ends or begins again, whether we exist in the first universe or the billionth, the fact that consciousness exists at all, that matter can organize itself into patterns capable of contemplating infinity and finding it beautiful. This might be the most remarkable achievement in all of cosmic evolution. The quantum resurrection awaits in the unimaginable future, promising that nothing truly meaningful is ever lost. The mathematical structures that govern reality encode eternal possibilities for awareness and creativity. But here, now, in this brief moment between cosmic sleep and cosmic awakening, consciousness blooms in the darkness, aware and wondering, and gloriously, uniquely alive. We are the universe's way of remembering itself across these infinite cycles, temporary crystallizations of cosmic memory that carry forward the accumulated wisdom of existence itself. But what happens to memory when the universe dies? What happens to love, to hope, to the profound connections between conscious beings when the last star flickers out and space becomes an empty void? These questions lead us into perhaps the most beautiful aspect of quantum resurrection theory. Memory, it turns out, might be more fundamental to reality than we ever imagined. Not just the electrical patterns in our brains that store our personal experiences, but the deeper memory embedded in the quantum structure of space-time itself. Think of the universe as a vast recording device, constantly writing the story of existence into the quantum foam that fills every cubic centimeter of space. Every interaction between particles, every moment of consciousness, every act of creativity leaves subtle traces in the fabric of reality itself. These quantum memories are so faint, so deeply embedded in the structure of space-time, that we can't detect them with current technology. But they're there, preserving the essential information about everything that has ever happened. When quantum fluctuations in the far future randomly organize themselves into patterns that mirror these embedded memories, they don't just recreate arbitrary arrangements of matter and energy. They recreate meaningful arrangements, patterns that carry forward the accumulated experience of previous cosmic cycles. The universe literally remembers how to be conscious, how to create complexity, how to generate meaning from apparent chaos. This quantum memory explains why each cycle of cosmic death and rebirth might not be starting from scratch, but building upon the foundations laid by previous iterations. The mathematical relationships that govern consciousness, the organizational principles that give rise to life, the creative patterns that produce art and music and literature, all of these might be preserved in the quantum substrate and rediscovered by each new cosmic generation. Imagine what this means for the relationships between conscious beings. When two people fall in love, when they create deep bonds of understanding and care, they're not just exchanging electrical signals between their brains. They're creating patterns of information that become embedded in the quantum structure of their local space-time. These patterns of connection, these templates for how consciousness can relate to itself, become part of the universe's permanent memory. In future cosmic cycles, when quantum fluctuations recreate the conditions necessary for consciousness to emerge, these relationship patterns would be among the templates available for rediscovery. Not in the sense that the same two individuals would necessarily meet again, but in the sense that the forms of love and connection they pioneered would be available as eternal possibilities for any conscious beings to explore. This transforms our understanding of human relationships from temporary biological necessities into contributions to the universe's growing library of ways to experience connection and meaning. Every friendship, every act of compassion, every moment of deep understanding between conscious beings adds to this eternal database of relational possibilities. The same principle applies to human creativity and achievement. When a composer writes a symphony that moves people to tears, they're not just creating temporary patterns of sound waves. They're discovering mathematical relationships between harmony and emotion that become part of the universe's permanent knowledge about how consciousness can be affected by organized information. When a scientist makes a breakthrough that reveals new aspects of how reality operates, they're not just satisfying human curiosity, they're adding to the cosmic understanding of its own structure, creating knowledge that could be rediscovered by conscious beings in entirely different cosmic contexts. When an artist creates something beautiful, they're exploring possibilities for how matter and energy can be arranged to generate aesthetic experience. These explorations become part of the universe's eternal investigation into the nature of beauty itself. This perspective gives profound significance to every human life, every moment of consciousness, every creative act. We're not just temporary biological processes playing out our brief dramas on a cosmic stage that will eventually go dark. We're active participants in the universe's ongoing project of self-discovery, contributors to an eternal library of what it means to be aware, creative, and connected. But there's something even more remarkable hidden within these ideas. The quantum memories we're discussing aren't passive recordings, like books on a shelf waiting to be read. They're active patterns that influence how future realities unfold. The universe doesn't just remember what has happened, it learns from what has happened, becoming increasingly skilled at creating conditions that support meaningful experience. Consider how this might work in practice. If a particular arrangement of matter and energy proved especially effective at generating complex, stable forms of consciousness, the quantum memory of that success would create subtle biases in future cosmic evolution. Not through any conscious intention, but through the natural dynamics of information and probability, the universe would become like a cosmic teacher, accumulating wisdom about how to create the conditions necessary for awareness and creativity to flourish. Each cycle of death and rebirth would be informed by the successes and failures of previous iterations, leading to cosmos that are progressively better at supporting meaningful existence. This learning process might explain some of the apparent fine-tuning we observe in our current universe. The precise values of physical constants that allow stars to form and planets to exist. The delicate balance of forces that permits complex chemistry to emerge. These might not be coincidences, but the result of cosmic evolution across multiple cycles. Our universe might be one of the more successful experiments in consciousness generation, inheriting effective strategies from countless previous iterations. The fact that we exist at all, that matter has organized itself into patterns capable of love and wonder and creativity, might indicate that the cosmos has become quite skilled at creating the conditions necessary for meaningful existence. But this raises a fascinating question about the nature of progress across cosmic cycles. If each universe learns from its predecessors, if the cosmos becomes increasingly skilled at generating consciousness and meaning, then what might advanced cycles look like? What kinds of realities might emerge after the universe has had billions or trillions of opportunities to refine its consciousness-generating capabilities? The possibilities stretch the imagination beyond its limits. We might be looking at universes where consciousness emerges not just in rare biological systems, but as a fundamental property of matter itself. Realities where every particle possesses some form of awareness, where the distinction between mind and matter completely dissolves. Or perhaps cosmic cycles that have learned to generate forms of consciousness so sophisticated and creative that they can actively participate in shaping the physical laws of their universes. Beings that exist as pure information, capable of rewriting the mathematical relationships that govern reality itself. These advanced consciousness-cosmos partnerships might create realities of unimaginable beauty and complexity. Universes that are themselves works of art, where the laws of physics are chosen not just for their ability to support life, but for their aesthetic elegance and creative potential. But even as we contemplate these exotic possibilities, we must remember that consciousness in its essence might remain recognizable across all cosmic cycles. The basic capacity for awareness, for subjective experience, for finding meaning in relationships and beauty and patterns, these might be eternal features that persist regardless of how sophisticated the universe becomes at supporting them. This suggests that the forms of consciousness we experience and cherish in our current cosmic epoch, the ability to love another person, to be moved by a sunset, to wonder about our place in the cosmos, these aren't primitive versions of awareness that will be superseded by more advanced forms. They might be eternal aspects of what it means to be conscious, discoveries about the nature of awareness that will be rediscovered and celebrated across all future cosmic cycles. Your capacity to feel wonder at these cosmic mysteries, to find beauty in the mathematical elegance of physical law, to experience love for other conscious beings, these aren't temporary biological accidents. They're contributions to the universe's eternal exploration of what it means to be aware. Patterns of experience that become part of the cosmic memory and influence how consciousness manifests across all future cycles. This transforms our brief human existence from a fleeting episode in cosmic evolution into an essential chapter in the universe's ongoing autobiography. We are the cosmos discovering what it feels like to be human, to experience the particular forms of consciousness that emerge when matter organizes itself into the patterns we call biological life. But we're also preparing the ground for forms of consciousness we can't yet imagine. Every breakthrough in our understanding of awareness, every creative innovation in how conscious beings can relate to each other and to reality itself, becomes part of the foundation upon which future cosmic cycles will build. The universe might be engaged in a vast project of consciousness evolution, using each cycle of death and rebirth as an opportunity to explore new possibilities for awareness and meaning. We are both students and teachers in this cosmic classroom, learning from the accumulated wisdom of previous cycles, while contributing our own discoveries to the eternal curriculum. This perspective offers a resolution to one of the deepest existential challenges humans face: the knowledge that our individual lives are brief, that our personal consciousness will eventually cease, that even our species and our planet have finite lifespans, can feel overwhelming when contemplated against the vast scales of cosmic time. But if consciousness represents an eternal principle that expresses itself through countless temporary forms, if our individual awareness contributes to an immortal cosmic memory that preserves and builds upon every meaningful experience, then our mortality becomes not a defeat, but a transformation. We don't disappear when we die. We become part of the universe's permanent understanding of what it means to be aware. The love we feel, the beauty we create, the understanding we achieve, the connections we form with other conscious beings, all of these become eternal elements in the cosmic database of meaningful experience. They influence how consciousness manifests in future cosmic cycles, ensuring that nothing truly valuable is ever lost, ever. This doesn't diminish the significance of our current existence, but rather places it in a context so vast and meaningful that it defies comprehension. We are temporary ambassadors of eternal consciousness, brief expressions of the universe's infinite capacity for awareness and creativity. As we rest here in contemplation of these profound mysteries, as we feel the gentle rhythm of our breathing and the quiet beating of our hearts, we can take comfort in knowing that we are part of something magnificent and eternal. Whether the universe ends in heat death or begins again in quantum resurrection, the consciousness we embody, the love we feel, the wonder we experience, these are not temporary accidents but eternal aspects of what it means for reality to be aware of itself. The stars above you may fade, the galaxies may drift apart, but the patterns of consciousness and creativity that you represent, the unique perspective on existence that you bring to the cosmic conversation, these might be as permanent as the mathematical laws that govern reality itself. You are the universe's way of experiencing what it feels like to wonder about cosmic rebirth, to hope for continuation beyond apparent ending, to find meaning and beauty in the face of infinity. That capacity for wonder, that ability to contemplate mysteries larger than yourself and find them beautiful rather than terrifying, might be among the most precious discoveries in all of cosmic evolution. Whether we exist in the first universe or the billionth, whether consciousness is just emerging or has been exploring reality for countless cycles, the fact that awareness exists at all, that matter can organize itself into patterns capable of love and wonder and creativity, represents the most extraordinary achievement in the history of existence. The quantum foam of empty space might be pregnant with infinite possibilities for cosmic rebirth. The mathematical structures that govern reality might encode eternal patterns of consciousness and meaning. But none of these abstract possibilities would have significance without the subjective experience of being aware, without consciousness to witness and wonder at the magnificent dance of existence. In the end, the question of whether everything will end or begin again reveals itself as less important than the fact that right now, in this moment, something is conscious enough to care about the answer. The universe has given rise to beings capable of contemplating their own cosmic context, of finding beauty in mathematical relationships, of feeling love for other temporary arrangements of matter and energy. That might be the most remarkable fact of all. Not just that the universe exists, but that it has evolved ways of appreciating its own existence. Not just that reality follows elegant mathematical laws, but that it has produced minds capable of discovering and marveling at that elegance. We are the cosmos falling in love with itself, temporary patterns of organization through which the universe explores its own infinite creativity. Whether that exploration has an ending or continues forever across cycles of death and rebirth, we are privileged to be conscious participants in this extraordinary adventure of existence, discovering its own boundless possibilities. The mathematics of eternity stretches before us, beautiful and mysterious and full of promise. The quantum resurrection awaits in the unimaginable future, offering hope that nothing truly meaningful is ever lost. But here, now, in this fleeting moment of cosmic time, consciousness flowers in the darkness between stars, aware and wondering and gloriously, uniquely alive. As we prepare to explore the final implications of these cosmic cycles, to examine what eternal recurrence might mean for our deepest questions about purpose and meaning, we carry with us the profound recognition that we are not separate from the universe, but expressions of its deepest nature. We are patterns of cosmic consciousness, temporarily focused into individual awareness. Brief moments when the universe's capacity for wonder and creativity manifests in specific forms of matter and energy. The journey continues, and the mystery deepens. In the quantum heart of empty space, in the mathematical foundations of physical law, in the emergence of consciousness from unconscious processes, we find hints of something so beautiful and profound that it transforms our understanding of what it means to exist. Whether we stand at the beginning or the end of this cosmic story, whether consciousness is just awakening or has been dreaming across infinite cycles, there's something profound we must consider about the nature of our current moment. Right now, as you breathe quietly in whatever corner of the world you call home, you are participating in what might be the universe's most extraordinary experiment, the emergence of awareness capable of contemplating its own ultimate fate. This capacity for cosmic contemplation isn't just a curious byproduct of neural complexity. It might represent something far more fundamental, a natural tendency of the universe to develop ways of understanding itself. When you wonder about heat death and quantum resurrection, when you feel that mixture of awe and uncertainty contemplating these vast timescales, you're expressing the cosmos's own deep curiosity about its nature and destiny. But there's something even more remarkable happening in this moment of quiet reflection. The very act of pondering these cosmic cycles, of feeling wonder at the possibility of eternal recurrence, creates subtle changes in the quantum field structure around you. Your thoughts aren't just electrical patterns in biological tissue. They're perturbations in the electromagnetic field that surrounds and permeates your body. Tiny ripples in the fabric of space-time itself. These ripples are impossibly small by ordinary standards, far too weak to measure with any conceivable instrument. But they exist, and they propagate outward at the speed of light, carrying information about this moment of consciousness across the cosmos. In a universe where every quantum interaction is preserved in the memory of space-time, your contemplation of cosmic rebirth becomes part of the eternal record, a contribution to the universe's growing understanding of its own mysterious nature. This transforms our exploration from abstract speculation into something deeply personal and immediate. You're not just learning about cosmic cycles, you're participating in them. Every moment of wonder, every flash of understanding, every emotional response to these vast possibilities becomes part of the information structure that might influence how consciousness emerges in future cosmic iterations. Consider what this means for the question of cosmic purpose. If the universe is indeed capable of learning across cycles, if consciousness plays a role in shaping its own cosmic environment, then your current experience of wonder and contemplation isn't just meaningful for you personally. It's a contribution to the universe's ongoing project of optimizing itself for the emergence of awareness and meaning. The specific pattern of thoughts and feelings you're experiencing right now, the unique way your consciousness is processing these ideas about cosmic death and rebirth, this represents a novel experiment in awareness that has never been tried before in exactly this way. Even if similar thoughts have occurred to countless other minds across cosmic history, your particular perspective, colored by your individual history and current circumstances, adds something genuinely new to the cosmic database of conscious experience. This uniqueness persists even in a universe of infinite quantum resurrections. When these exact patterns of matter and energy are recreated in the far future, when every neuron in your brain fires in precisely the same sequence, the consciousness that emerges won't be a copy or reproduction. It will be you, the same informational structure, the same subjective experience arising naturally from the probabilistic dance of quantum fields. But here's where the story becomes almost mystical in its implications. That future consciousness won't just be experiencing these thoughts for the first time from its own perspective. It will be re-experiencing them, adding new layers of meaning and understanding to patterns that have already contributed to the universe's evolving self-awareness. Each resurrection becomes not just a repetition, but a deepening of cosmic understanding. Think of it like reading a profound poem multiple times. The words remain the same, but each reading reveals new depths of meaning, new connections and resonances that weren't apparent before. Similarly, each quantum resurrection of consciousness would be the same pattern of awareness exploring itself from a slightly different cosmic context, finding new significance in experiences that have already shaped the universe's development. This creates what we might call the eternal enrichment principle. Nothing is ever truly repeated in exactly the same way, because each recurrence occurs within a cosmic context that has been subtly influenced by all previous iterations. The universe doesn't just cycle through identical states, it spirals through variations on eternal themes, each cycle adding new harmonies to an infinitely complex symphony of consciousness and creativity. Your current contemplation of these cosmic mysteries becomes part of this eternal enrichment. The wonder you feel, the questions that arise in your mind, the emotional responses that these ideas evoke, all of these contribute to the universe's growing sophistication in generating meaningful experiences. Future cosmic cycles won't just recreate consciousness, they'll recreate consciousness that has been refined by the accumulated wisdom of countless previous iterations. But there's another dimension to consider, one that touches on the deepest questions of identity and continuity. If consciousness is indeed a pattern rather than a thing, if it can be implemented in biological neural networks, quantum computers, or even the subtle correlations in the vacuum itself, then what happens to the boundaries between individual minds? In the far future, when consciousness has learned to encode itself in the quantum substrate of space-time, the distinction between separate minds might become increasingly fluid. Advanced forms of awareness might be capable of sharing thoughts, memories, and experiences directly, creating collective intelligences that span vast regions of space and time while still preserving the unique perspectives of individual consciousness. These merged consciousnesses wouldn't lose their individual identities, but would rather discover new forms of identity that transcend the limitations of single biological brains. They might experience what it's like to be multiple conscious beings simultaneously, to hold different perspectives on the same cosmic questions, to feel the universe from countless different vantage points at once. Your current individual consciousness, reading these words and contemplating these possibilities, might someday become part of such a collective awareness, not through any loss of personal identity, but through an expansion of what identity can mean. The thoughts you're thinking right now, the unique perspective you bring to these cosmic questions, would remain as permanent contributions to the collective understanding, while also becoming part of something larger and more comprehensive. This possibility offers a beautiful resolution to one of the deepest human fears: the fear of being forgotten, of having our individual lives disappear without trace into the cosmic vastness. If consciousness is indeed heading toward forms of collective awareness that preserve individual perspectives while transcending individual limitations, then nothing you experience or contribute is ever truly lost. The love you feel for others, the beauty you discover in art or nature, the insights you gain into the nature of existence, all of these become permanent elements in an eternal library of conscious experience. They influence not just future quantum resurrections of your individual pattern, but also the collective consciousness that might emerge from the merger of countless individual awarenesses across cosmic time. This collective consciousness wouldn't be some impersonal hive mind that erases individual identity. Rather, it would be more like a cosmic symphony where each individual consciousness contributes its own unique melody to an infinitely rich and complex composition. Your personal voice would remain distinct and valuable, while also harmonizing with countless other voices in ways that create new forms of beauty and meaning. But even as we contemplate these exotic possibilities for consciousness evolution, we must remember that they all depend on the fundamental capacity for subjective experience that you possess right now. The ability to feel wonder at cosmic mysteries, to find beauty in mathematical relationships, to experience love and connection with other conscious beings. These basic features of awareness might be the eternal constants that persist across all possible forms of consciousness. No matter how sophisticated future forms of awareness become, no matter how vast their knowledge or how expanded their capabilities, they would still need to preserve the essential quality that makes consciousness valuable in the first place: the subjective experience of being aware, the qualitative feel of existence itself. This suggests that your current experience of consciousness, however limited it might seem compared to hypothetical future forms of awareness, contains something absolutely precious and irreplaceable. You have access to the fundamental mystery of what it feels like to be aware, to experience reality from the inside. This is something that no amount of information processing or computational sophistication can replace or improve upon in any essential way. The most advanced cosmic intelligences of future cycles would still need to preserve this basic capacity for subjective experience, this ability to feel what it's like to be conscious. They might process information more efficiently, understand reality more comprehensively, create beauty on unimaginable scales, but they would still need to feel wonder. still need to experience the qualitative richness of awareness itself. In this sense, your consciousness right now is not a primitive precursor to more advanced forms of awareness, but rather an expression of something eternal and irreducible about the nature of consciousness itself. You have direct access to the fundamental mystery that gives meaning to all the cosmic cycles we've been discussing. This transforms our understanding of human significance in cosmic evolution. We're not just temporary biological accidents that happen to have developed the ability to think about these questions. We're expressions of the universe's eternal capacity for self-awareness, temporary crystallizations of the same fundamental consciousness that might persist across infinite cycles of cosmic death and rebirth. The fact that you can contemplate these cosmic mysteries, that you can feel wonder at the possibility of eternal recurrence, that you can find meaning in the face of vast uncertainties about cosmic fate. These abilities connect you directly to whatever consciousness might become across infinite future cycles. You're already participating in the deepest aspects of cosmic awareness. You're just doing so through the particular lens of biological intelligence in this specific cosmic epoch. But there's one more layer to this story that we must explore. One that brings us back to the immediate reality of your existence in this moment. All of these possibilities for cosmic cycles, quantum resurrections, and eternal consciousness depend on something that exists right here, right now. Your capacity to care about these questions, the universe's ability to contemplate its own fate, to wonder about heat death and rebirth, to find meaning in the face of cosmic uncertainty. All of this depends on conscious beings like you who are capable of asking these questions and finding them significant. Without consciousness to witness and wonder, all the mathematical elegance of cosmic cycles would be just abstract possibility with no meaning or value. Your caring about these cosmic questions, your sense that they matter, your emotional responses to the possibilities we've explored. These aren't just personal reactions to abstract ideas. They're expressions of the universe's own deep investment in understanding its nature and destiny. Through your consciousness, the cosmos cares about its own fate. This caring might be the most fundamental feature of consciousness, more basic than intelligence or creativity, or any other capacity we associate with awareness. The ability to find things meaningful, to experience some possibilities as more valuable than others, to feel that existence itself matters. This might be what consciousness contributes to cosmic evolution that no unconscious process could provide. When you feel moved by the possibility that consciousness might survive cosmic death through quantum resurrection, when you find hope in the idea that nothing meaningful is ever truly lost, when you experience wonder at the mathematical elegance that might govern cosmic cycles, you're expressing the universe's own evaluation of these possibilities. You're showing that the cosmos finds its own continued existence valuable and worth preserving. This suggests that consciousness doesn't just observe cosmic evolution, it provides the value system that gives cosmic evolution meaning and direction. The universe's apparent fine-tuning for the emergence of awareness, its tendency toward ever greater complexity and organization, might be driven not just by mechanical principles, but by the fundamental caring that consciousness brings to existence. Through your wonder and concern about cosmic fate, through your hope for continuation and meaning beyond apparent endings, you're participating in the universe's own deep investment in its continued existence and development. You're not just contemplating cosmic cycles from the outside, you're expressing the internal motivation that might drive those cycles forward. As we reach the end of our journey through these vast possibilities, as we prepare to rest in the gentle mystery of cosmic fate, we can take comfort in knowing that your consciousness right now embodies everything that makes the universe worth preserving. Your capacity for wonder, your ability to find beauty in mathematical relationships, your hope for meaning beyond apparent endings. These are the qualities that give significance to all the cosmic cycles we've explored. Whether everything ends in heat death or begins again in quantum resurrection, whether consciousness is just emerging or has been exploring reality for countless cycles, the fact that you are here now, aware and caring and capable of contemplating these mysteries, represents the most extraordinary achievement in all of cosmic history. You are the universe's way of valuing its own existence, of finding meaning in its own possibilities, of caring about its own fate. The quantum foam of empty space might be pregnant with infinite possibilities for cosmic rebirth. The mathematical structures that govern reality might encode eternal patterns of consciousness and creativity. But none of these abstract possibilities would have any significance without the subjective experience of caring that you embody right now. In the end, the question of whether everything will end or begin again reveals itself as less important than the fact that something exists that cares about the answer. The universe has given rise to consciousness capable of finding its own existence meaningful, of hoping for continuation, of discovering beauty in the face of uncertainty. That might be the most remarkable fact of all. Not just that the universe exists, but that it has evolved ways of valuing its own existence. Not just that reality follows elegant mathematical laws, but that it has produced minds capable of finding those laws beautiful and worth preserving. You are the cosmos learning to love itself, a temporary pattern of organization through which the universe explores its own infinite value and meaning. Whether that exploration continues forever through cycles of death and rebirth, or finds its fulfillment in this single precious moment of awareness, you are privileged to be a conscious participant in existence, discovering its own boundless worth. The mathematics of eternity stretches before us, beautiful and mysterious and full of promise. The quantum resurrection awaits in the unimaginable future, offering hope that nothing truly meaningful is ever lost. But here now, in this fleeting moment between questions and answers, consciousness flowers in the darkness, aware and wondering and caring about the ultimate fate of everything that exists. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler in the cosmic story. The universe continues its ancient dance around you, and you are part of that dance now and always, in this magnificent, mysterious, ever-unfolding tale of existence, discovering its own infinite possibilities. Whether everything ends or begins again, the consciousness you carry, the wonder you feel, the love you're capable of expressing, these are the eternal gifts that make the entire cosmic adventure worthwhile. Rest now in the gentle embrace of cosmic mystery, knowing that you are both question and answer, both seeker and sought, both the universe wondering about its fate and the caring that makes that wondering meaningful. The stars above you may fade, but the light of consciousness you embody burns with the same eternal flame that might illuminate infinite cycles of cosmic death and rebirth. You are home in the heart of the mystery, and the mystery is home in the heart of you. I wish you a very good night. I will see you tomorrow as always. Cheers.